coverage you can count on. This is an Erie News Now election update.
As we look at the White House on this Tuesday evening, we're a half hour from the polls closing in several states. Not only that, we're also a half hour away from starting to call some states here on this election night, 2020. Two candidates are vying for the position. It'll either be incumbent President Donald Trump, who will remain in the White House for 4 more years, or Democratic challenger Joe Biden, who will become the 46th president of the United States. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Isaac Petcash. Thanks for being with us here on Erie News Now, election coverage you can count on. We have a lot to get to tonight as we continue our wall-to-wall coverage here on this Tuesday. We, of course, know how critical the presidential race is. A lot of other local races we're looking at as well. That is an extremely critical for not just the country, but the state of Pennsylvania as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this live bug in right now. We're, of course, just going to continue to give you updates and information. Here's what we know right now. We are just trying and continuing to see as much as we can where the numbers stand, where things stand right now in terms of the polls. Here's what we are seeing right now. This is a blank map as you currently see it. This map tonight we are going to fill in as the states are called in red and blue. Now, these states, of course, will be called based on exit projections. We do have numbers that we'll be able to show you tonight. However, we are going to make our state decisions based off of the Associated Press. So we will use that news source to determine the state winners. Once those states are called by the AP, we will then confirm and show you on this map, which we will fill in red and blue. As many people know, the number tonight to get is 270 electoral votes. There is a potential for an electoral college tie at 269 to 269, although we are expecting, if it's tonight or whether it's at some point down the road, a winner to be called. Here's what we know right now. The voting around the country has been relatively smooth according to several reports. We've heard some concern locally of voting worries in Crawford County and Warren County, as well as areas in Vernon Township. But for the most part, we've seen that, for the most part, the voting has been fairly smooth in several states. We have seen backups in places such as Nevada, some places such as North Carolina, but that seems to be a blip in the road from what we've been seeing so far. So it seems like the voting is going fairly smoothly on a number of states in this country tonight. Of course, we aren't sure whether or not the race is going to be called tonight. What we are sure is that we'll see several states come in, and it might be down to the critical swing states, that including states such as Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. You know the drill, the swing states that are on the brink every single election. So this is where we stand right now as we're just about 27 minutes away from polls closing. Let's get an idea of where we're at right now in our team coverage. Our Paul Wagner, Lisa Adams, John Lass, Brianna Andrews, and Eva Mastromattio are all out in the field right now with live reports. They're going to be talking from the Board of Elections, the races of Dan Laughlin and Julie Slomski, Mike Kelly versus Christy Ganibus. We also have Haley Potter and our Elspeth Meisner, who are out in Warren and Crawford counties tonight. They're going to different polling places, just trying to see how big the lines are, how difficult it is to get in to vote, if it's that difficult at all. We're also following news out of Washington, D.C. and news out of Harrisburg. Harrisburg is covered by our Capitol reporter, Cody Carlson. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent tonight is Matt Knadler. He is live outside the White House and will be giving us updates throughout the evening. This election is arguably one of the most contested elections we've ever had in our democracy. Donald Trump coming in 2016 and essentially pulling off an upset right now. He was able to defeat Democratic challenger Hillary Clinton in that 2016 race, and he did it by winning several key swing states. Taking a look at this map, just giving you an idea of the states Trump won in 2016, Donald Trump was able to swing the state of Wisconsin, the state of Michigan, the states of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Trump was also able to sweep the American South, winning the key swing states of North Carolina, Georgia, Florida was part of it as well. The president was also able to pick up the state of Arizona, which he was able to win in a big fashion, and the state of Iowa. All of those swing states the president won 9 of them in total, are going to be critical for him to take tonight if he wants to win the race for president. Democratic challenger Joe Biden, according to exit polls, has leads in a good majority of these states, although the polls are tightening from what we've seen over the last couple of days, especially in those southern states and in Pennsylvania. Margin of error for Pennsylvania, just 1.2 points as of today. So we know that there's a significant shrinking of the lead for the Democratic challenger in the state of Pennsylvania, in the state of Florida, and other states as well. So we continue along here in our election coverage as we take a look outside the White House. A lot going on tonight. We, of course, have a lot to get to. Some of the things that we've been talking about across our newscast today, just the importance of the election. We're also keeping an eye on the United States Senate race. The United States Senate race right now extremely close. We heard our political expert Joe Morris say it's possible that we could have a 50-50 tie in the Senate by the end of the night tonight. That's how close it is. So as we stand right now, it's the Republicans holding control of the White House and the Senate. The Democrats have the edge in the U.S. House. We don't expect the House of Representatives to flip, but it's possible the Senate and the White House could flip as we stand right now. So as we said, on this Tuesday night, we're going to be giving you live reports. We're going to be giving you up-to-date election information, state calls, where the poll numbers are currently on this Tuesday, and where things stand in the Electoral College. I'm getting a paper here right now as we currently stand. We're also going to be checking in live on Facebook tonight. A lot of things going on, and we, of course, are continuing our coverage on Facebook Live as we continue throughout the night. As I'm looking at our Facebook page right now, it looks as if we have a Facebook Live here from our Lisa Adams. She is inside Bell Valley Fire Hall here on this Tuesday, and she has a Facebook Live report that we want to play for you right now.
Well, hello again. This is Lisa Adams, and I'm now inside the Bell Valley Fire Hall social hall, and we've been seeing a pretty long line here. We got here just before 5 o'clock this evening, and there's been a line ever since. I will say this is two different precincts. It's both Mill Creek 1 and Mill Creek 21. Mill Creek 21 seems to be the busier place right now. Over here at Mill Creek 1, not too much of a line here. They told me that they've had about 900 people vote on this side of things so far. That's a lot more, they say, than voted in the primary. They say they only had about 300 people at this point in time. However, in the primary, so many people mailed their ballots in. So joining me over here, who's been waiting in line, Father
Michael Kosicki.
Yeah, so from Gannon University. So is this where you always vote? And
This is where I vote because I live at St. Mark's Seminary on Grandview. So I'm in Mill Creek 21.
So you've made it through the door. You were outside for a while. How long was the line? What do you think about that?
Just under an hour, but everyone's patient. The station workers are very accommodating and helpful, assisting people who need to use the restroom, those who need some extra assistance, and even trying to move the line along. If the M through Z line's a little shorter, they'll move people over there. So no, everyone's being very patient, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, so of course, I don't know what typical turnout is like here. Would you expect normally to stand in line when you came here?
No, this is unusual. Usually I just come and go right through.
So what does that say to you about how energized people are about this election? You don't have to go political on me. I don't think we can do that inside the building here. But I mean, is it encouraging to see so many people, wanting their voice to be heard?
People are exercising their franchise as citizens, and that's a good thing.
All right, thanks for talking to us. So again, the polls close at 8 o'clock. We have been told that if you are in line at 8 o'clock, that you will be able to come on in and complete the voting process. But I think the advice is, if this is your polling place and you haven't voted yet, to get here. The lines have been steady outside the social hall here, across the bay doors of the fire hall and out toward the parking lot. I would say by my estimation, the line is not.
That's our Lisa Adams here reporting from the Bell Valley Fire Hall. One of the things we have seen that's been a common theme this evening, a significant number of people in line. We heard earlier from our Haley Potter. She had mentioned that there were lines up to 3 hours long in Sagertown, lines 2 hours long in Warren County, an hour and a half in our area as well. We're just seeing a continuous amount of voters in the area turning out to vote this evening. Another area which is filled with voters is Woodcock Township. That's in Crawford County, and that's where we find our Brianna Andrews.
Good evening, everyone. I know it's a little dark out here. I'm trying to get into the light, but I am here at Woodcock Township, Crawford County, and again, the lines are insane here. Not as bad as Hayesfield, but I'm going to let you guys take a look for yourself. You can see quite a few people waiting online. This is definitely the after work voter rush. There's just 2 hours, maybe even almost less than 2 hours until the polls close. The people are out here making their vote count. You can just see how many people are out here. The line wraps around the building. You can see some more people even pulling in now. This is a historical election, and this alone, the line shows just how important this election is, that people are willing to wait on these lines for such long times. But we know that poll workers, again, are doing everything that they can to get people in and out smoothly. But again, county officials are asking everyone for their patience because this is a different year. Not only is there in-person voting, there's also the mail-in ballots. There's a lot going on this year, so they're always asking for everyone to be patient and get through it. But if you notice, as I'm talking, the line continues to wrap around, continuing to wrap around. This is insane. I said it wasn't as bad as Hayfield. I stand corrected. This line is really, really long, all the way to the end. It's a little dark. Let's try to put my flash on. Oh, it was on. Sorry, guys. But wow. This is people coming out to vote, waiting in a long line, making sure their vote counts this election day. Coming up at 6, we'll have a live look.
And that is our Brianna Andrews live here on Facebook as we continue our wall-to-wall election night coverage. We are waiting now on a potential live hit here from our Eva Mastromatteo at the Board of Elections. She's getting some word that we could have some potential issues with computers. Actually, the same issue as we're bringing now Ethan Kibbe that caused our airwaves to go down for a few minutes around 5:55 tonight. We're hearing along the West 26th Street area a potential issue with power. Not sure what else we know on that, but it could be affecting the Board of Elections too.
Yeah, and it's just another thing that you can't control. It's just one more unexpected thing that ends up making an election day that's already topsy-turvy a little bit crazier. And so we're just continuing to monitor this tonight. Obviously, it's not going to affect anybody's votes. Another thing we should bear in mind, it's not going to screw up any sorts of vote counting on those scanning machines. Yes, they're electronic, but that's not an issue at all, having that power outage. And it's not like there's some sort of internet connection between machines that would be messed up. Your votes are still safe. It's just going to slow things down a little bit more, but that's the name of the game in 2020, right? Patience. Roll with the punches.
Patience is a virtue. We heard that a little bit earlier. Remember, we got some news out of Northeast, some news out of Venango that there were some ballots that were actually being boxed up, shipped off to the Erie County Courthouse to be counted after some issues with the voting machines in that area. And so, again, it's just...
And now we're having issues at the courthouse.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's going to take a little bit of time. The biggest thing, like we said, is patience. We heard earlier from a couple of members of the Erie County Board of Elections. Brian Schenk was one of them, just talking about the fact that be patient, wait maybe a couple of days, but eventually these ballots will get counted.
Right. It's all about take your time and just relax. We're going to get all of these votes counted. They're going to be counted accurately, but it is going to take some time. And so that's the big thing here tonight, is just being patient, because goodness knows what all of this is going to entail, Isaac, both here in Erie County, in the city of Erie, and in surrounding areas, Northeast. We'd already talked about issues there as well, and other things we're looking at as well. Crawford County and Warren County, no reports of any issues in Warren County. Our Elspeth Meisner is out there. Haley Potter and Brianna Andrews are in Crawford County, where we have had some issues at polling places, but really more than anything there, it's just long lines looping all the way around buildings, people waiting in line 2 or even 3 hours as they try to cast their votes. We should note that if you're still heading out to the polls, you still do have about an hour and 15 minutes. You only need to be in line by 8 o'clock for your vote to count. Problem being, of course, that if you're in line at 8 o'clock, you might not vote until 9:30. Get to the polls as soon as you can if you haven't voted. don't wait till the last minute. That's the last thing you want to do in a situation like this.
And speaking of the Board of Elections and election poll centers, we actually want to bring in, if she can hear us right now, our Eva Mastromatteo. She is standing by at the Erie County Board of Elections, so we're getting her in our double box right now. Eva, it's good to talk to you. We're hearing, though, now that there are some issues, potential issues when it comes to computers in the Erie County Board of Elections. Tell us what's going on right now.
Well, good evening. We have just learned that it is no longer an issue. You know, the power hit that our TV station took a little while ago also impacted things here at the Erie County Courthouse, and specifically the voter registration area. I'm in the voter registration office right now, and some of the computers had gone down for about 15 minutes. So that meant anybody calling in to find out what their polling location was, well, they just couldn't get that access readily to those callers. Again, those folks here in the voter registration office. But things have been resolved. I want to give you a live look right now of what's behind me, because this is the so-called fish bowl. So this is the area that where the tallying done is, where the tallying is basically being done. So earlier in some of our Erie News Now broadcasts, we were in the pre-canvassing room where the mail-in ballots were being put through machines, and after they're put through machines, they're then brought right here. And this is where the tallying is being done. Now, that can happen right now, but the reporting of those mail-in ballots cannot be done until after 8 o'clock. So in the pre-canvassing room, there's about 18 people there, and they are opening up the mail-in ballots, and once they get them through the machine, then those are brought here and they are tallied. So there's a lot to go through. I mean, there are the regular mail-in ballots, there are those from military members and so forth, so many different divisions of ballots that need to be separated before they can be tallied and then therefore reported after 8 o'clock. So it is a busy place in here as a lot of calls are coming in. And I was told the majority of the calls are actually about people not realizing where their precinct is. Maybe they thought that they were supposed to go to one polling location and they're not really allowed to vote there. So do want to let you know that anybody who might have an issue, I'm told, can go to, like if there was the power hit still going on and people were not able to find out exactly where they were supposed to vote at, what precinct, they can go to any location, they can get a provisional ballot, and they can vote at a location with a provisional ballot. Okay, so yeah, 2020 have some hiccups in Erie County. We heard earlier, actually, in Northeast, in Mill Creek, even in the city of Erie, there were some machine malfunctions. But I was told that there's a tech team, and there are tech teams, I should say, out there in Erie County that are assigned to so many different precincts. And in a case like that, where there is maybe a machine malfunction, those tech teams are then dispatched to go to certain precincts to take care of the issue. So, knock on wood, no real big issues, but little ones along the way that are being resolved as the night goes on. So I, again, am live in the voter registration office inside the Erie County Courthouse as more mail-in ballots are being counted as we speak in yet another room, that pre-canvassing room. And the last time I was there, over 16,000 mail-in ballots had been opened. So really making some good headway here in Erie County. Ethan, Isaac, back to you.
Yeah, Eva, just a little hubbub, but we appreciate your report. We'll see you in the 7 o'clock hour as well, Eva. Thanks for that report here. We want to now continue our coverage here tonight as we continue along. I believe we have, in just a moment, we have our Lisa Adams, which is also joining us live tonight. Lisa, if you can hear me, we're going to go ahead and go to you now. Lisa, we continue to see an extreme amount of people at the polls, record turnout here today. Give us an idea of what's going on in your area.
Hi there. Well, I came to the Bell Valley Fire Hall. This was kind of a designated spot where I was going to meet Congressman Mike Kelly to talk with him about that race around 5 o'clock. We probably got here about 4:45 or so, and the line was out the door, past the bay doors here of the fire hall into the parking lot, and I'd say it stayed that way for about 2 hours. If you can see behind me now, it's dark, I realize, but the line is very small now. There are 2 precincts that vote here
Mill Creek 1 and Mill Creek 21, and they say they believe the rush is over. Things are finally starting to taper off here. So my focus tonight is in the congressional race. Of course, all eyes are on the presidential race, but Mike Kelly in the 16th Congressional District is hoping that he will be returned for a 6th term in Washington, but he's had a challenge from Christy Ganebis, a Mill Creek school teacher who's on sabbatical while she's running for office, also working on her PhD dissertation. She's a single mom. She's battled cancer. She's been without health care, so her whole campaign is centered around the idea that she can relate to people in the district and the problems that they have. It is a big district, though. It goes from up here in Erie County all the way down to the Pittsburgh suburbs, 5 counties part of this district. It used to be 7, but it's Butler, Mercer, Lawrence, Crawford, and Erie counties. And so we'll see as the count comes in if Mike Kelly gets reelected or if Christy mounts a significant challenge. Now, again, she's well known up here in Erie County where she's from, although they both spent this final day, election day, crisscrossing all 5 counties of the district, making their appearances and greeting voters at various polling places before tonight they'll sit back when the polls close and watch those returns come in.
All right, Lisa, and the last question I have for you here before we let you go here, just give us an idea of what you're hearing from the 2 candidates, the 2 campaigns here as we hit the 7 o'clock hour.
Well, they both said there were some concerns, voting concerns around the district. Mostly a couple of those issues I'm sure we've reported on already in Erie News Now, where there were some machine jams and so on. But they say that people were calm, peaceful, orderly, seemed to be good-natured, and problems were addressed. People were able to vote provisionally if they did run into a snag. I know Congressman Kelly talked about the fact that there were some rumors floating around that if you were in line at 8 o'clock when the polls closed, you wouldn't be able to vote. And he said that's not so. You know, if you're in line when the polls are closing, they'll still let you in and you can exercise your right to vote. But here at the Bell Valley Fire Hall, where it's been a long line, a really busy spot in the hours after work for many people, I can say that the line has really gone down. It is moving along quickly. Inside there, people were wiping and sanitizing and doing everything that they are supposed to do to make people feel safe. But it seems that it's tapering off and that it's a good thing so that there won't be any of those people in line when the polls close.
Lisa, we appreciate your efforts tonight. We'll keep you in the loop here and continue on the rest of the way. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. That's our Lisa Adams joining us here on this Tuesday evening. Election coverage that you can count on here. Things, of course, continuing along here on this Tuesday evening. Let's go ahead and let Lisa, you are good to go. You're fine. You're clear on that. So we are all right. Lisa giving us the thumbs up here on this Tuesday. So we heard from our Eva Mastromatio. We heard from Lisa Adams. She's, of course, going to be talking in this Mike Kelly, Christy Ganebis race. Eva Mastromatio letting us know, thankfully, the issues that we had with the computers, they have been effectively resolved, which is good news considering the fact that a lot of these concerns, the ones that have popped up for voting issues, have been specifically because of concerns with the electronic ballot system. Earlier in the day, it was the concern relating to the actual ballot counter malfunctioning, and now we're seeing a bit of a sway. We did see a bit of a sway in the computer system here as we move on in our coverage. Taking another look here at the White House this evening, we continue to just see as many, just up in the air, I guess is the best way to say it, things continuing to be senile and calm for now. I'm mincing over my words, but calm for the most part before we get set to open up the polls. The polls are going to open in just over 5 minutes. I should say the states will be coming in just over 5 minutes. The first polls are soon set to close. And again, This is right now a potential historic election, a lot of things going on. Let's give you an update on which polls are going to be closing here at 7 p.m. The polls are closing at 7 o'clock in Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia. And in much of the state of Florida. Remember, Florida, one of the states in which it doesn't close the polls at the same time. So Florida will be closing for the most part at 7 o'clock. The other states are going to be closing as well, 60 electoral votes in total. If you look at these states that are closing, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina expected to go with President Trump. Vermont and Virginia is expected to go the way of Democratic challenger Joe Biden. The big question mark in the 7 o'clock poll closing is Georgia. If you remember back in 2016, Georgia was the first poll to close. It was one of the last to be called. By the time Georgia got called, the president was already upwards of 245 electoral votes. So that was the state that took a significant amount of time to get called in 2016, which could possibly be the case again today. Joe Biden looking to flip that state, but the president hoping that he'll be able to convert that state yet again, one that's critical for him in the southern areas of the state. Again, the last time a Democrat won the state of Georgia was back in Bill Clinton in 1992. We also want to note that in the state of Georgia, there are two key United States Senate races. Current Republican Senator David Perdue facing against challenger Jon Ossoff. Remember, our Matt Knadler actually mentioned that race as one of the key ones to look out for in the United States Senate. There's also a special election for former Senator Johnny Isaacsen's seat. Includes the appointed incumbent Senator Kelly Loeffler, as well as GOP Representative Doug Collins. The leading Democratic candidate for that is Reverend Raphael Warnock. So all of those candidates vying for a Senate seat here as we sit right now. And as we look at the numbers, just so much going on here on this election night. We, of course, will continue to bring you the latest up-to-date information as you take a look. We are just getting ready to give our electoral college started here. 270 the expected to win, the expected number to win. As we sit right now, you see the early poll numbers coming in of the national vote, just 0.2% in. Right now, Trump with a little bit of a lead in the popular vote. We are expecting the Democratic challenger Joe Biden to win the popular vote. That was something that was really not contested going into the night. We do expect, though, that will be the case here. But we are waiting to see other races as well, including the Senate race that we are waiting as well. So the president and the Senate race, two races that are fairly big right now that we are looking at. We have a couple minutes left on our newscast here. We're getting ready for Erie News Now at 7, so we'll go ahead and take ourselves off the air once that happens. But before we go, we do want to check in very quickly with our Elspeth Meisner. She's making her way back to Erie County after being in Warren. Right now, though, she's making a stop in Corey, looking at some other poll places. Let's go ahead and hear from her right now.
Hi, everybody. Elspeth Meisner here with Erie News Now. We're making our way back to Erie County from Warren, where we have been for a majority of the day, just checking with different polling locations. And so now we're actually in Corey, checking in on a few polling places. This is outside the community center in downtown Corey. And I just finished speaking to a few poll workers there. And as you can see, no line outside. But if you peek through the windows, you can see a little bit of a line forming inside to get in to vote. When I spoke to officials here at the polling place, they said it's been a pretty good day so far. Little issues in the morning, just getting used to the new machines. They said lines have been long, and that's because they only have one machine working, and they're only using one machine. So therefore, the lines are taking a bit longer in order for people to get in and to cast their ballot. They also said throughout the day they've had a few mishaps, just making sure they're getting everything done. The first time using this equipment down here, and the first time they're using the new machines and everything. But overall, they said it's been a pretty good day so far. They have been seeing a few people maybe having a mess up here or there, so they've had to get more ballots, more paper. But overall, they said, so far, it's a good day. So there is still only a few hours left until the polls close. So be sure to get out and vote if you haven't done so yet. Going to give you one more look at.
And that is our Elspeth Meisner. Just had a couple seconds left in that video. The polls still continuing to be fairly busy on this Tuesday evening. We are 25 seconds away from poll closings in a few states, making up 60 electoral college votes. This is the moment right now. We are getting ready for election night coverage you can count on. We are wall to wall across our telecast. It starts with Erie News Now at 7, and we're back here at 7:30 with our live stream with all latest breaking news and information. It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Polls have closed, and our election coverage starts now.